Today we're talking about some of the biggest threats that face America. I mean, we hear from a scientist, an expert, saying that having children is absolutely wrong. That's crazy. We hear another study that shows that China is looking to attack our water grid. That comes at the same time that someone, big Chinese businessman, who are unnamed, politicians in California, New Hampshire, and several other states, are allowing them to buy your land, America's land, next to military and water. We're going to discuss that. Also, we're going to talk about what China is doing. They're actually trying to de-dollarize us by buying gold. I do believe that, they tried BRICS. I don't believe it's going to work. I believe they're pushing out crypto, and what they are doing is buying gold, and I think that's why everybody should. We'll talk about that a little bit today. Also, we're going to discuss something biblical. Is this something crazy happening? Is this foreshadowing? It is kind of weird that the Sea of Galilee is turning red. Whoa, that's kind of biblical, isn't it? We'll discuss what the reasoning is, but also, is it showing something else? We honestly see countries pulling to the side of hatred of Israel. What does that mean for America? What is America's trajectory? Now, it might be okay right now with Trump, but what is the next step? Because we actually see a lot of the right that's doing the same thing as the left, pulling away from Israel. What does that mean in the biblical perspective and also in America? We almost see the signs of cold civil war because now we see the Texas Democrats pulling away from Texas, getting some kind of protection in Illinois, and states versus states. This is becoming something very serious. Are we seeing true threats in America and internal crisis? We're going to discuss all that today and a lot more stories. Let's dive in today. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up, and let us know what you think about the content of today's video. We talk about a lot of things, and our goal is to, hopefully you'll be more informed so you'll make wiser decisions and have a common sense approach to the world that we live in. Because you know what? I'm raising 6 children, and I want to make sure those 6 children are prepared the same way as we try to prepare ourselves. Now let's dive into the stories. First, let's talk about the Sea of Galilee thing. The Sea of Galilee is turned red. Now, they're saying it's because of algae, but does that not remind you of something biblical? We've been talking lately about these kind of biblical signs and biblical warnings, and as a Christian, I look at things and I'm thinking, it's not the fact that something is happening. It's the fact that they're using excuses to try to cover up some of these biblical warnings I think that we're facing. Actually, I just think that we're seeing some forms of end times. I think you're seeing harder times that are coming. I told you that the other day in the video with Israel, but listen to this. It says the Sea of Galilee turned red, a natural phenomenon caused by the formation of spots in the water in the Sea of Galilee with no danger to swimmers. The red color results from the accumulation of natural pigment produced in a certain type of algae. Now, that's what they're saying. They're saying it's not toxic, it's not dangerous. But isn't it weird that it literally states that the water turned red? Isn't it weird that they talked about building the temple last week? Isn't it weird that now you're seeing countries pull away from Israel and turn their face on what we would consider, God's chosen people? Now, there's a lot of discussion and all that lately. But the bottom line is we are seeing harder times when it comes to certain issues that we're facing. We have water issues, we have money issues, we have famine issues. There's a new story. I want you to listen to some of these stories. I just want to read them to you so that way you understand where we're at. Another farmer and his water was shut off by Gavin Newsom and the California Democrats. They turned my water off today and I can't pay for my bills because I can't grow the crops. So I can't grow the crops, I can't pay my bills, therefore my land is not mine anymore because I can't afford it. That's one example. Here's another example. There's a guy that came out, a zealot for climate change, which is now, it's just so over. We think that this stuff is done, and it's not. Listen to what he said. Climate zealot claims that the moral and selfishness in having children is completely wrong, and they give too much admittance to carbon. There should be no one having children. Every single child is hurting the industry and hurting the others. Is that not the most selfish, narcissistic thing have you ever heard? That having children is going to end the world? This is coming from people who don't realize they're getting older, and without children, without other people coming up, generations coming up, we're already going to destroy the world. It's absolutely preposterous that we're even having these conversations. Another story, record U.S. honeybee losses, which is a major issue. It says, what has been uncommon is not just the varroa mites and the problems with the hives, the sprays, all of this. Without the bees, our farms will have no vegetation, true vegetation. Now, you know of all this self-pollinated GMO garbage that everybody's doing that we always talk about. But ultimately, without the bees pollinating crops and making the pollen move and making the males and females of these vegetables to actually grow food, we will see severe famine. Some beekeepers are hurting so bad that they lose the risk of losing money, but not only that, their big bee operations, which feeds the world because their bees pollinate the almonds, the blueberries, the strawberries, the berries, the tomatoes, all of it. Without the bee, everything goes away. We have a bee crisis. It says, this problem will cause for devastation. It says the agency that deals with bees say that beekeepers have lost 1.7 million colonies. That's a 60% loss from last summer. Do you not see the biblical perspective of the loss of bees to a point where famine takes place? A survey carried out with the Apiary Inspectors of America says that 55% loss just in the last 12 months is a staggering colony loss. And if we don't stop it, we will have no food. Experts warn that without immediate intervention, the ripple effect could drive up the cost of farmers, disrupt food production, and shutter many commercial bee operations. You know the answer to this? Mr. Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos now making food out of petri dishes. Mr. Bill making crops that doesn't need pollination. Now, we would say, oh, well, that's the solution. Not really, because what we're seeing is the garbage food that they're fixing because they have a God complex and they believe that that food is going to take over for God's food. What it actually does is make us absolutely more sicker, because what they're doing is learning how to grow this food through carcinogenic, cancerous ways. They're using cancer cells. You think that's going to be good in 20 years when you see half the population die of all the junk that we've been eating? Biblical perspective. Focus on these stories. From the Sea of Galilee turning red, you're like, oh, it's just algae. From the fact that water's getting shut off by the governments, oh, that's just because they're trying to conserve the water, we need it. To the fact that now bees are coming up where the millions of hives gone, oh, we'll make other crops. We seem to try to find an answer, and all our answers tend to fail. Because what we're seeing is, I honestly believe, we're starting to see wrathful vengeance on how bad we've been. And if we keep turning away from Israel, now you can dog me out and all this stuff, but when we talk about the biblical Israel, I'm not talking about just this whole situation where we got to back everything that Israel does. I'm not saying that. I'm saying this. When we turn our face on the fact that we can't support Israel, I do believe we're going to see even harder times in America. More famines, more problems, more biblical perspectives. If I can challenge you to do anything, you and a few of your friends go in and buy some land, you start growing some food. You start building bee apiaries. You can buy a bee apiary, what they call a nuke, N-U-C, for $175 to $200. That is a little hive, it's a beginner hive. If you don't ever want the honey, just start putting some bees on your property. Build some swarm traps. Without the bees, severe famine will happen in America. Or the natural way of growing food will be gone. We have to have pollinators. Please focus on trying to grow some food, because we're getting to that point where hard times are coming, and I do believe that you're starting to see the earth give way to these hard times. Not because of climate, not because of all that, because I believe we've been doing wrong for a long time. Now, before we go any further, and we're going to talk about the biggest threat that this expert comes out and says when it comes to China and other big players. Before we do that, let's talk about our sponsor today. Again, Chapter. Something that I've been blown away by is how bad our government runs Medicare, Social Security, and so forth. Well, Medicare was not really on my radar. I'm 37 years old. It's just not a big deal. But my parents just turned 65. The other one turned 64 just a few days ago. So they've been thinking a lot about it. Man, everybody has a different part. Everybody has a different supplement. Everybody says this doctor, that doctor. Everybody says this doesn't work, that doesn't work. Everybody has an opinion. One thing I realized is Chapter has all the answers. Chapter is an advisor for you. They come and work alongside you to find the very best plan that benefits you when it comes to Medicare. I mean, you talk about open enrollment. You talk about trying to understand how government plans work. They have all those answers for you, and it's free to you. They're not selling you anything. Please call their number below. Just talk to them and say, can you save me money? The average American that calls Chapter saves $1,100. I've seen it in several cases. Someone emailed me, saved $800. The other one saved around $1,200. I had a local friend that said they saved a few $100s, and they said it could save a little bit more. They had another call with Chapter in just the next few days. 15 or 20 minutes of your time may save you loads of money. If you're 65 and older or about to be, they can help walk you through what's next and how you can get the best rates, the best deals, and save some money. Check with Chapter today. Now the biggest threat. Experts warn, listen to this, AI can be used to develop biological and chemical warfare. They said the biggest threat goes along with the bees now. Listen, it's the threat on livestock and agriculture. Listen, let's keep on reading. The greatest threat to America may be something we cannot even see. Biological and chemical weapons can spread, debilitating the wreaking havoc of fear on populations. Why? Because the food system, the soil, and what we want in coming out of our grounds that feed us can be destroyed. Unfortunately, these threats of these kind attack the American soil, and it's only rising. Agri-terrorism. Gosh, scary, man. Empowered by the unique capabilities of artificial intelligence to prevent catastrophic events, we must use AI to counter the danger of advanced technology that can be released. So now we've made a monster when it comes to AI. We've made enemies, so they're going to use every threat to us, which we're physically talking about China's threat with the water, and I'm telling you, it is a real threat that our governors and our state representation is letting happen. It's going to blow your mind at the next story. Please stick around for it. But what we've done is we've built enemies. We've built this AI threat that has found ways around some of our safety nets to damage our soul. So now what we do is we try to build a new AI to then build against their AI to then save our soul. And that's the only way to save humanity, is to fight their AI, that we've built a new AI. And every time it's just going to be who builds the next technology to where we're going to literally live in a surveillance state. I mean, that's really what's happening here, folks. We have to build this for this. This is a threat. This is a threat. Well, because we've built so much AI capabilities, we've unleashed the beast. So now, therefore, we have to build more technology and take more of your rights away to save your soul and save your animals. Every few years, something new suspect comes out, threatens our military bases, political leaders, but more than that, the poisons in our soul and our ground that could cause for permanent damage on America. Agri-terrorism is what scientists call the most dangerous thing, because America's grain farms can be sickened and the U.S. population will have no food. No food. Do you realize what I'm saying here? We just talked about the problem with the bees. Now we see the biggest threat with AI is not the dangers of if they shut down our grid. Oh, that would suck. Don't get me wrong, a lot of people would probably die. If they take your food, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You think AI is going to save our lives? Our life is dependent on building this beast. Now they're using it against us, so now we have to build a bigger beast to then fix a problem that we can't. Experts say this is probably the biggest threat, is the fact that biological and chemical warfare on agriculture, terrorism, to destroy our crops and our soil and our grains will destroy America. It doesn't take a hot war. That's what people don't realize. The fight within. Just like the battles that we have with Texas and the redistricting, gerrymandering with Illinois giving them cover and California's got to say so. California's still in the water of people. They're not letting people build back in Palisades. We're going to talk about who they're selling it to, though. Wait till you hear this. So they're worried about that. So we're building state versus state problems. We have infighting in America. And on top of that, all of a sudden you cause a massive problem to our food system. You're talking about craziness in the streets. You're talking about riots in the streets. You're talking about protests. It won't be worried about this new hijab or this new flag for Palestine. It's going to be people fighting over food, a loaf of bread and grain. I think back biblical. I mean, again, we talk about biblical things here. Think about the time of Joseph. Joseph was a prepper. They didn't call him a prepper, but what he did, he had a dream, and he saw the fact that we've got to prepare for we need 7 good years and prepare that and stock it up, build the barns, because ultimately we're going to have 7 years after that. Now, I'm no prophet. I don't believe anybody really knows what's going on, but I do believe God gives us wisdom and common sense to say, you know what, we might want to prepare. We may want to put up food. I had a guy come to my home the other day, a trusted friend. It wouldn't be somebody, I wouldn't let somebody tour places that he went, but he made a comment. He said, why do you have so much food? And he wasn't questioning me like I'm stupid, but he almost was questioning almost like a foolish intention, like, why would you waste so much money on food? And I said, because what is the one thing that we need most of? How can we protect our family the most? It's water and food. Now, of course, we got to protect that, so we need self-defense. We need to make sure that we can protect what we have stored. But ultimately, if we have no food and water, how good is a grid? How good is whatever else if we don't have the food to grow? So I showed him how we have water. We have freeze-dried foods. We have foods. We have seeds because we have to grow the food. Without it, we are nothing. I mean, there's no problem in taking over America because we have no strength to do anything else because ultimately we have no food. So this is definitely the biggest threat. One last comment on this. It says, yet with AI poised to rapid exacerbate biological and chemical proliferation, traditional tools are not enough. We must use AI to respond to AI. Without it, how would we make it? We need more AI and computer intelligence in our life to face the problems that we're facing. I want to read this to you. And I don't think the answer is AI, but the sad thing is, what did I tell you? We built a beast, now we've had a problem, and here we are, we're in a bad spot. I want you to listen to this. It says, a new report came out that China is looking for ways to attack the water supply. It says even FBI agents have warned over the last few weeks we've seen hackers come in and try to do everything they can to hurt our water supply. It says attacking our water systems, biding their time to waiting for China's signal to strike. Experts warn that Russia and Iran are also targeting our sites, but China definitely is the biggest move and player. Now, what does that mean? How dangerous is that? I mean, how dangerous is that? Remember me telling you about the story in New Hampshire? Let's read about it a little bit more, and then we're going to go to California. China's richest man just bought an empty piece of land with only one warehouse in New Hampshire, and they're refusing to answer questions of why they will use it. Warehouse is still sitting empty. Listen to this now. The richest Chinese businessman just bought property in New Hampshire, and not one government official, not one politician questioned it. You know how much they wanted for the land, the warehouse? $15 million. No American company has bought it yet. You know what the Chinese richest man paid? 67. He 4 times it. Actually, more than 4 times it. 4.5 times it. Why? Just so he could own it. You know where it sits? Right next to a U.S. military base and next to the water system of New Hampshire. Now, remember the last story I said that China's looking for ways to attack us. Well, we keep selling the land to them? It's going to happen. Listen to this. Did you know that Great Britain, the King Charles and his family, Great Britain and the king owns less of his kingdom than Qatar, the Middle Eastern country, has bought more land than Great Britain. So, who actually has the say-so? Qatar owns more land of Great Britain than Great Britain owns of Great Britain. You know why I say that? Now, do I believe China owns more land than America? No, but I do believe if you keep allowing these foreign countries to buy our land, Canada, Mexico, Denmark, Germany, China, what if all of a sudden they start gaining up and putting their lands together? Now they do own more than America. How stupid are we? How stupid are we? We're worried about agri-terrorism and worried about our water system, and we're allowing them to be on our grounds. And remember, who is the fighter of AI more than us? Who is the one that we're facing the worst when it comes to AI? China, and we just let them buy our land. I get flustered because the biggest threats that experts are warning of is AI capabilities with agri-terrorism, with biological and chemical warfare on our soil and our water, and we're letting them buy our land. Now, this is not a Trump issue. This is not even a national issue. I mean, it's a national security issue, but it's actually your flipping states. Listen to Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom is letting the Chinese buy up the Palisades land. American contractors who work in both Pacific Palisades and Aladina areas confirm that Chinese nationals are calling him and asking to buy 5 to 6 lots at a time at the highest price and seeing who they could get in contact with to buy this land that's been burned up. I wonder why there's no permits going in. I wonder why these people say they can't afford to rebuild. Well, This is why, and they're going to hold those permits up, and all of a sudden when they get in a tight bind, guess who they sell to? The Chinese. He says China is buying up so many properties that it's going to turn both Aladina and Pacific Palisades into the type of neighborhood, listen to this, where you drive down and all the signage literally will be in Chinese, not American. Do you know who's buying up all the property in the LA fire zones? The Chinese. This is another story. It says, I think it's sad that California and LA, with the slow reaction and the incompetence, is basically allowing infiltration from a foreign country that's wanting to cause problems for our grid, for our water, for our food, and the biggest player in AI to be buying our land. Is that not absolutely crazy? Last story I want to wrap up. This came out that Trump declares war on the narco terrorist state in Mexico. Trump declared that he was activating troops for Washington, D.C. to try to help federalize it to get control of the gang problems and the theft and the homicides that are going on in Washington. Trump also declared that he will go after the cartels that are causing the damage in Mexico. Actually, both of these things I think are the right moves, because we have to have safety, of course, in our capital, because that's where our elected officials are. But more than that, some of the biggest dangers. Have you seen our cities? Just pull up videos. Go to Twitter or other source and just type in Philadelphia. City of Philadelphia, problems with drugs. City of New York, problems with drugs. Problems with drugs in San Francisco, Los Angeles. And these people are like laid over like zombies. You know, what I've realized, it's all a big plan. If you drug people, you make them fat and lazy, you let them depend on Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and those kind of people to feed them. You believe that they build the socialist mentality that, that we need to make sure that they're taken care of. We're going to provide their housing, we're going to provide their food, their water. I think what we're doing is just building a population that is easily to control. I look at Africa, and I will say this, and it may upset you, may offend you. Africa is one of the richest lands, as in what it has cocoa, has oil. It has all these natural resources that are absolutely huge. Cobalt, all this mining rare earth minerals that everybody's wanting. Africa could be one of the richest nations and countries and continents in the world because of all the things they have on it. But because they have an uneducated, a controlled populace, no self-defense tools, no way of understanding knowledge and wisdom to grow their own food, to own land, and no understanding of money and economics, their people live in complete poverty and people take advantage of them. If you're not careful, biggest threat for America, AI, agri-terrorism, people buying our foreign lands, the fact that we are almost in a cold war because we have states against states, Illinois versus Texas versus California, the war on the farm where they're taking your food. We are becoming what Africa is, where we are under so much control, where we can't afford homes, we can't afford colleges, we're being indoctrinated in our school, and our education system is absolutely broken. We're in debt up to our eyeballs. We're seeing liberal states take our Second Amendment rights. We're seeing the fact that we get our water shut off by the government that we pay for. We can't afford the property tax. We can't do anything other than complain, and we're allowing AI to do everything for us, and we're allowing DoorDash and Uber Eats to provide our foods. We're not going to drive. It's kind of weird to drive now, so we're going to use public transportation, and we're going to allow government to provide our homes and medical. You see how that can happen? There's the most people on Twitter, on TikTok, and on YouTube, and they're going to complain and complain and complain, and then they want the government to fix it. If you're going to complain, put your big boy pants on and start fixing it yourself. Because if you let government try to fix it, quote unquote, fix it, they're not going to fix it. They're going to put you in a nanny state, and you're going to be just like Africa. The existential threat is your food system, your water system, and your national security, and all those things we talked about today's video. Please talk to your community. Misty had 2 people touring yesterday, learning how to grow food. I have 2 people coming Tuesday and Wednesday to learn about prepping, to understand how to grow food, how to stockpile. I had a guy yesterday learning about the freeze-dried foods and how we put up foods. You know why we do that? Not boasting, not bragging, not say, look at me, is to say, I'm pleading with you to do the same thing. I had a guy last night asking how to cure out bacon because he wanted to figure out how to do that because he was tired of letting someone else to do it. And he actually had a problem. He struggled with the fat content. Didn't know if it cured out all the way. And I said, that's how you learn. He's trying to be independent and take over his food system. I hope you feel completely guilty if you're not doing anything when it comes to chickens, rabbits, cows, gardens, foods. If you live in an apartment, you better learn how to put up water and food. Because if not, you're going to be on the street like everybody else wondering how the government's going to take care of us. Prepare, guys. This is no joke. This is the biggest threat. It's great that Trump is trying to do great things, but your states are the ones selling the land to the Chinese, selling the grid to the Chinese, and not being independent. It's great that Trump's trying to do great things, but bottom line is Congress sucks, and they're not helping do anything. And then we see through God's wrath or apocalyptic ways or hard times coming that people are turning their face on Israel, and I think it's causing some problems. And I think we're going to see hard times, and it's not going to be easier. Guys, give me your thoughts on today's video. God bless.